Amanda here from createyourfuture.co. So today we have Angela joining us. Hi, Angela.
Hi, Amanda.
Hey guys, we have an exciting video how you can manifest anything. Okay, so anything is possible, and we're going to share a couple of really good success stories about how we manifested something that we were pretty much thinking or were told it was impossible. And then we will definitely go through some points on how you can apply this to manifest anything that you may feel like is impossible or possible. Yeah, just before we get started, guys, we are having a contest. We get to 100,000 subscribers. We're giving away 3 free coaching sessions to 3 separate people, 1 each. All you need to do to enter is to subscribe, share our videos, and within your social media, and as well, like comment, what have you manifested using the law of assumption or the law of attraction, whichever you prefer to use. And yeah, we want to just share inspiration and hope that anything is absolutely possible. And guys, Angela is having a sale. If you are looking for any help to manifest what you want, she's going to be able to help you find your blocks and give you some great intentions and an action plan to make that happen. And as well, guys, if you want to ask me, Amanda, a question, you can always post it on the Patreon group. So yes, let's dive in, Angela. Welcome.
Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, I have a success story that is my own. So I work on antique furniture a lot, like to refinish things. And several years ago, I had just a great piece, a very old dresser that I acquired and got it home and began to work on my piece of furniture and pulled a drawer out, set it up on top of the dresser. It fell and I broke one of my very, very old antique dresser knobs. And I have one here, very, very unusual dresser knobs. They have wooden screws. I had never seen one like this ever before. And my first thought was, oh no, where in the world ever could I find something to match this or even take the place, like a whole set? I thought, that's impossible. It's probably 150 years old or more, I don't know, but very old. So I was kind of angry at myself, but I got to thinking, I know how to do this. I know how to manifest and find things. So I decided to take a look on eBay and put a search in for antique dresser knobs. And a few things came up, nothing close to what I was needing as far as the size. I have, these are like wooden screws in here, very big, nothing that would even work at all. And they were like $50 or $60, really expensive for just one knob. And I remember looking at that thinking, I can't spend more than $20. I would do that, but what I was finding was way out of my range. So I just backed out for a moment and kind of closed my eyes and just pictured my dresser knob. It's real specific and it's got like a little pearl inlay. And I thought about that in my mind, thought about it, rephrased my search on my eBay search and typed it in again. And lo and behold, I got one match for an exact set of 6, not one, exactly for, I believe it was like $19.95. So I got a whole set of 6 that matched exactly. And I will show you, these are the ones that I got that came in. You can see, I painted mine black, but you can see, I mean, exactly. They have the pearl, maybe a tiny bit difference on the height, but I got a perfect match, a whole set. It was even more than I asked for, better than I asked for. And yeah, I didn't think it was possible, but it was.
Oh, I absolutely love that. I love that. So my story, and I think I've told this before on the channel, is I manifested my car. So it was way back, not last September, the September before. I had an old car. It was starting to leak. The trunk was moldy, and it was just, it was an old car, and I needed to get a new one. And I remember Andrew was going to like the auto mall in like a city away from us, like kind of in between. Like this is when we lived back in Burnaby before we moved to our new house now. And he went to this auto mall kind of like halfway through in Abbotsford, and he goes and he buys himself a vehicle. And then he says, while we're waiting for his vehicle to kind of the paperwork to get done, he goes, well, why don't you look for one? And I said, well, I really want a Mazda. Like I really, I love like, you know, Mazdas for some reason. So I'm like, I really want one. And so I go to the Mazda dealership, and they're of course like, oh, COVID this, and there's a shortage, and they're on back order. You're probably looking at least a year and a half. There's so many people that want one. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So then Andrew was like, well, I take his card and he takes my number, and he said he would call me when one comes in. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Okay, maybe I'm not quite ready. I know we have to move because we were actually moving in January. So that was in September. So we're moving in January. And I said to Andrew, I said, you know what? I'm like, we're so busy right now with the move. I'm like, what I'll do then is I'll just wait until we get to our new town that we're moving to. And I'm like, they'll have my car there. I'm like, I'll get one as soon as we move there. And so, you know, fast forward from September to January, we moved in here like in the middle of January. And then I just happened to be driving past the Mazda dealership here, and I went in, and it was about January 20th. And I said, you know, I'm like, this is the car I'm looking for, right? I was looking for a Mazda MX-5, and it had to be a hard top, and it had to be this particular one with those wheels and this interior and these features, right? And so he was like, okay. He's like, okay. He's like, well, he's like, I have two coming in. And he's like, I don't think either one are like that. And I said, okay, that's fine. Here's my name and number, and you let me know. And he goes, but they're probably not coming in for a long time. They're on back order. And I said, okay, that's no problem. That's no problem. So then I went home, and I let it go. I was like, no, you know what? I always get what I want. I always get what I want. And like, it'll happen. And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, I was sleeping, and I forgot to turn my phone off. So it started ringing. And so I was a little bit annoyed, but I answered it. And sure enough, it was the car dealership. They got the exact car that I was looking for in, and it came within 2 days, even though it was supposedly on back order. And so when I went in there and talked to the manager who I'd talked to previously, he was like, you know what? He's like, this car came in. It's like it had your name on it. He's like, we weren't even supposed to get these until the summer. And then he's like, and then I was pretty sure none of them were going to be what you wanted, because I wanted the top of the line one, and most people don't want the top of the line one. They want, you know, with less features, he said. But he was like, there it came, your exact one. And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, yep, that's mine. So it was so funny. I even like basically, because it was the exact car that I described to him, like all the features, they researched it. He just skipped me above the wait list, right? And I was even affirming that I'll be above the wait list, because the car that I want is going to come in, and he's going to give it to me first, because that's what I want, rather than wasting his time saying, well, I know you didn't want this one, but this one do you want? You know what I mean, right? And I was like, in fact, two of them came in. One was white with a soft top, and I didn't want it. So I even got my pick, but I'm like, I don't want that white one. And I'm like, they're like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, no. I want that red one. That's the exact car I want. So, you know, nothing is impossible. And sometimes it does take persistence, right?
Oh, absolutely. I love your story. That is awesome. And that's so true. I remember thinking this is impossible, because how do you find something that's going to match a 150-year-old piece of furniture? And the same, you know, you were dealing with COVID and back orders, and it looks impossible, but we bypass that. No, it's not. This is what I want, and focus on what we want. And also, you know, we don't give up, because, you know, my initial search, it didn't show what I wanted. And I was already frustrated when I started at. That's maybe why I didn't get what I wanted immediately. But, you know, we don't give up. You know, you stay consistent. You keep pushing forward. You keep focusing it on what you want, and be specific. I love how you were so specific with your car, you know. And for me, when I put in the very specific details on what I was looking for, that's when it showed up, you know. And I think we often will settle for something that's not exactly what we want, thinking, oh, I should be glad this is what I got, you know. And I read things and hear of things a lot with a specific person, you know. We just want to be with that person. We just want them to come back to us. But really, we don't want them to treat us the way they did before. We don't want the baggage. We want them to come back the way we want them. And absolutely don't sell yourself short. Don't sell your desire short. Be specific. Focus on exactly what you want, because that's going to be what you get. You know, always remember that will be what shows up. And it's human nature almost to feel like we're asking too much. But I'm learning as we're all on this journey, be specific. This is your world. You get to write the script, to be specific. And, one other thought is you need to remember that the little things like the dresser knob, that's something that's not a huge event in the overall scheme of things, but the little things are no different from the big things. We make them that. We put our thoughts out there and begin to feel like something is going to be more difficult, but it's not. It's really not. It's all the same. And if you can learn to get into that frame of mind, this is just like anything else, whatever your big thing might be. It's no different from the cup of coffee or whatever you might be manifesting that's small, or those small manifestations that show up.
Right. Well, it's like my hummingbird story that I shared a few weeks back here. Maybe it was only a week ago back on the videos. But I mean, now, when I look at, I'm like, when I'm manifesting something big, I'm like, look at, if I can manifest holding a hummingbird, I can manifest anything. You know what I mean? Like, I use almost the small things, the things that I've created that are just so, they're just so obvious that I manifested it and gave me that magical feeling. I'll use that no matter how big or how small. And, one thing, I just want to add to, basically be specific is you don't necessarily have to be specific on the how. You can be. You're the creator of your reality. You can either focus on how you want it to happen, or you can say, look at this, it doesn't matter how it happens. This is what, my end goal is going to be. But if you say it doesn't matter how this happens, say it's always going to work out for the best for everybody. But, it is really important, though, to get specific on what your end goal is. Okay.
Yes.
Because sometimes when I don't get specific on what my end goal is, right, and I'm a little wishy-washy, I'm like, well, I don't care. I just want him here with me. And then sure enough, he shows up, and then, I'm being treated with no respect because I don't care how it happens. And then that's the path of least resistance, right?
Absolutely.
So when it comes to tailoring your end result, right, you live from the end. What are you going to see, hear, and feel? What are you going to hear? How are they going to treat you? Like, what is, your end result going to be? So in the how, you can either let the how happen and then assume everything that does happen, that it's a bridge of events getting you to your destination, or you can go as far as creating the how. But the one thing I would caution, if you create the how, like I create the how all the time, is not getting hung up on if the how doesn't happen exactly, like not being like, completely like, okay, it has to happen this way or else I'm a failure. That's not it. Because things will still take the path of least resistance, and it's about going with the flow. Sometimes I create the how and things turn out a little bit better in the how than I even specifically intended. And I'm like, okay. But then if they don't, I'm like, nope, that's okay. Because we're going to go and do this, because there's nobody out there giving this to you. You're giving it to yourself. So it's about being really honest with what your thoughts are. Like I'm sure with both of us, we didn't sit down and go, oh, you know what, and kept repeating to everybody like, oh, the car's sold out, oh, COVID supply chain, or oh, this is impossible, it's 150 years old. There was none of, we've got to be careful, and we've got to be in our mental diets and not be in a frustrated state, like Angela said, because when you're in that frustrated state, you're only going to get more frustration. Like you got to take a step back and go, hold on here, I'm a creator. Why am I frustrated over this? I can have anything I want,
Right.
and nothing's impossible. Everything is possible. My main mantra is I could be, do, and have anything that I want. And that's the basis that I live my life on, right? And if I do start thinking I can't, I just repeat that to myself. And I'm like, that's right. Why am I even worried?
Yes. That's an excellent mantra. That's a good way to start the day and start anything that you're wanting to manifest. I love that. It's perfect. And I love what you said about creating the how, because the human mind wants to figure something out. It just does that. And when you have an intention and you've set it, your mind will begin start playing out a scenario and thinking, oh, it would be great for this to happen. And then giving yourself the liberty, if the path of least resistance takes a turn, doesn't matter, because it's all in my favor. It's all going towards my end goal.
Exactly. You know, I always say if you've got 100 reasons of why something won't happen, create 101 reasons of how it could happen, you know, and you know what, just focus on every possible way that something can happen. I mean, that's way better than worrying about how it's not going to happen, right? You know, but always take the times when you're worried about something not happening, or you're having those doubts, or you're having those anxiety thoughts, to listen to them, because they're telling you exactly what you need to change in your thinking to make what you have happen. They're gold, and they're just opportunities. They're not even blocks. They're just opportunities. You make a declaration that you want something, your brain's automatically going to tell you the reasons why you don't have it. And we need to listen. And your subconscious mind, you say, I declare that I have this relationship. And your subconscious mind says, hey, I got to whisper something to you. Guess what? You guys had a fight. You think he's never going to forgive you. You think that you're not good enough. And it's just telling you what you need to change in order to get what you're telling your subconscious mind you want. Because your subconscious mind is just overhearing what your conscious mind says all the time. And you will find your own blocks if you listen to what your thoughts are. And if you're not sure what you're thinking, find out how you're feeling, because your feelings are a direct result of your thoughts. So if you're like wanting to go on a date and you're feeling anxious, well, chances are you're not thinking that the date's going to happen, right?
Right.
So, you know, good indication of if you're on a good mental diet or not, how you feel.
I love that. And I love paying attention to the negative thoughts, because I've been there where I feared them. You know, you're like, oh my gosh, but use them as feedback. Oh, this is just, you know, we're not going that way. You know, change that. And that's great. It kind of takes the pressure off, even, you know, this is just feedback.
Yeah.
It's a reminder. You're going the other way. I really like that.
Never be scared of your negative thoughts. If you're scared of your negative thoughts, you're resisting them, you're giving them more power, you're going to get more of them, they're going to manifest. Okay. It's okay to tell your old story, especially when it's in, like, you know, a setting where, you know, like for instance, our coaching sessions. I mean, that's the perfect setting, because we're going to give you good intentions to create something amazing. And we're going to help you to counter that old story. But it's not okay to tell your old story to your brother, your dog, your mother, because they're going to just basically reinforce it, because they're not trained in the law of attraction to be able to say, hey, wait a minute, do you really want to create that? You know, this is what we're going to create instead, you know, unless you've got, you know, someone, you're lucky enough to have someone in your life who's inherently positive, right? Which we do. And I intend you guys all do as well, right?
Yes.
But, you know, watch who we share with, you know, because I know there's some people I can share my negative stuff with, and they'll just help me make it even worse, gladly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes.
So I don't share my negative with them.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, I agree. I've been there. Yes, I understand completely. And I totally agree. You know, don't be afraid of those thoughts. It's feedback for us. It's helping us redirect, you know.
Exactly. So guys, you know what? Anything is possible, you know, change your story about the situation, you know, and, you know, create the base intention that nothing's impossible, and that you can have what you want, and you always do get what you want. Start with your day with it. Persist, even when you get told no. Persist and take what they say. They said it was on back order in the COVID supply chain. I took that and went, no, it's not on back order. I'm going to get what I want. They're making my car right now, you know, and take what you hear that you don't like and change it to positive intentions, because that's gold. That's reflecting back what your thoughts actually are, your dominant thoughts. So thank them for it. Okay.
Yes.
Be specific on your end result. And remember, a cup of coffee, a car, a relationship, none of them are more difficult than the other. It's only if we choose them to be. So
Exactly. Yes.
awesome. Thank you so much for being here today, Angela. Amazing.
You're welcome. I love it. Thank you, Amanda. I love your story too.
Thanks. I love yours too. I really do. And guys, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.